So, what do you thought about the episode?
I have mixed feelings, but this is probably just because of the fact that I don't know enough about Dark Disciples, and that's an unfortunate part on my end. So,
Let me just
I
catch you
mean,
up then real quick. Spoilers, by the way. Saj Ventress and Quinlan Voss. If you remember Quinlan Voss, he's the Jedi that.
well, yes, I remember Command Evolved.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
Quinlan Voss was sent as like a double agent to try to take out Count Dooku, but he fell in love with Ventress, which is an
Okay, that's
interesting
where the
thing.
romance was going in. Yeah, that's the romance part I only got about, but I just didn't understand that for some reason. So I was like, oh, I didn't know this was a thing. So that's nice to know about. So yeah, I gotta keep up on that, at least on that end. But I've been meaning to read that, but I didn't. But that's just besides the main point of this video here.
The
Just
main point is that she
I still
dies on that one. Like she sacrifices herself
yeah
because Dooku's about to like kill him with lightning. So that was
yeah
her redeeming quality, which once again Disney messed it up by not having
yeah.
the
But,
Clone Wars show it. But anyway, not the point.
okay, we're still getting off topic here.
So that's where it comes into question: how is she still alive?
We're probably either like in the middle of like something. I don't know honestly at this point. At this point, I don't know if they'll answer that because they technically it's canon. This is now canon out to her in the story now. So um, this I don't know. That's really interesting to think about honestly. So
We'll just have to
I don't
wait
know.
and see.
I don't know. I mean, I guess it was good to see it. I mean, it really was, and I gotta admit that the fighting action between the three was remarkably really well done. Honestly, I mean, I thought the fist fighting was pretty intense. I thought
I
so.
like that she takes away the guns, like no cheating, and then just proceeds to beat the
Yeah,
crap out of them.
I was like, yeah, and I'm not gonna lie. Out of all the ones she was gonna force choke, I wasn't expecting Wrecker for some reason. I thought Hunter was gonna be the one that's gonna be force choked. Nope, it had to be the big boy,
To
the
be
big
fair,
man.
he was talking a lot of smack.
Well, they all
But
were.
I mean,
Well,
the
not.
whole reason they even started fighting was because first of all, Ventress was the assassin we all knew that was gonna get involved for the M count stuff, and
Oh no! Oh no! I got worried when they started saying like when Omega had to say that. Oh, like because of course they needed the information, but Hunter really was the one who was saying we don't want to give that information out. I was like, well, that's how bounty hunters work, or that's how intel works. In the
they need something to go off of.
yes,
Look,
but
I get it. They don't want to
unfortunately,
give an assassin a chance to start causing trouble for them.
yeah, it's honestly fair. But that's just it's just how it works now. Really, at this point, that's how we know it. And then Omega comes in saying like, "Oh, it's for a friend of mine, of ours."
Yeah, and
And then
obviously
she comes in.
Asajj doesn't really buy that, but she kind of doesn't care. It's like it's something to work with.
Oh, and then like, okay, and then the most traumatic thing, like she Omega could have said, "I could be a Jedi." I'm like, "Oh no, we're not going to this shit. Here we go. This is the whole. Everything was gonna turn down after that." Because I that's true. There's not, at least that's in canon. There's never been such thing as a clone Jedi.
At least in
But
Legends, they did have some clones have the Force, but that's like other stuff we're not gonna dive into. But here's the
it's
main crux of it. Omega gives it
yeah.
away. Asajj basically says, "Let me test you for it," which I don't get the testing part. To be fair, she doesn't have the devices for like Qui-Gon testing on Anakin, for
Well,
example.
yeah, it wasn't like that kind of test. And her way, it was just, and it's funny to think of it like, cause yeah, cause we all know she was a Sith once, and then for her like to do a test for like being like on a general aspect of where she stands, it's pretty interesting to think about that from where she stands. So, I was like,
And then
okay,
obviously they
cool.
find out, oh, this is Asajj Ventress, the one that's killed many clones. Look, I get that they're like on edge because let's be real, they don't know about her reformation. Not a lot of people do. So
Well, yeah, this was coming, and this is coming from Fennec, which they had to still rely on basically for the M count information. So, two basically bounty hunters that they don't trust. It's kind of fair given.
I'm not disappointed or anything that they're kind of just antagonistic. I mean, she did a lot of things in the Clone Wars.
Oh, that's for sure.
So
That's already given.
so the distrust was amplified. Though I wonder what you think um whenever why is my crosshair had mentioned
Like,
tech.
yeah. I didn't. Of course, that still didn't make me feel any better. Of course, and of course on text data files, I'm like, nice. Now you get to say that too. But at the same time, of course, at the time it doesn't matter because, like, yes, it's just focus on what they have. I'm just like, but at the same time, it's like, so you're saying that everything he had is still left on the ship, which is, you know what? It would be given for that, considering he is the main next person in there. I was too stunned from that, and then just hearing, and then just from the fight action again. The fight action was just amazingly well done, animated really well. So I gotta give that. I was too stunned by that too. So everything was cut off from that, and so yeah, and of course, you know what? I think the second test. I feel like, of course, obviously the first test wasn't really given, so like, of course, that was gonna fail. I feel like that quote unquote second test was just not
It
necessarily
wasn't
a
a
test.
test in the
It
traditional
really
sense. The whole point was
was.
just to get Omega out of there because Ventress immediately knew that they're getting hostile.
That's true, but like she had this. But of course, Ventress was the one that said, "Oh, I'm gonna give you three tests." I'm like, well, okay, but the second one doesn't really count, so then that's fun. And then that went all haywire. We all know that. And then we get into the last ending of, well, at least the last half of it, which, of course, Omega says, "Gotta trust." Now we have to trust her. I was like, gosh darn it, this is this freaking. I don't. I'm not saying I don't like Omega from that aspect because, well, she is still a child and she's growing up, but I still don't like that aspect. Like, we need to still trust. I'm like, in this time that you're at right now, it's trust isn't working at all at this point, and yet you're still doing it. Yet for her, it works, but it makes me aggravated for no good reason because I hate
It,
it
it goes
how
back
she
to the
does
same
it.
issue that it was back to season one where she's so
That's what it is.
blindly
That's all it
trusting.
does. That's all it is. It just aggravates me because like at this point I'm like, just stop trying. I shouldn't say that because like that's who she is, but like it just aggravates me because she's doing the same constant thing all over on just trusting the wrong people. But I guess I mean, in some cases they do work out, but then of course in one it didn't. So. It makes me so mad. Every time she does that, it makes me so irritated. Say something, otherwise I'm gonna keep thinking about it.
No, okay, let's move on. So clearly we get more
Oh yeah.
Asajj Ventress showing like how it works, accidentally summoning a big creature, which
Oh, that was fun.
which was fun. Obviously, the Bad Batch not trusting like usual. Honestly, I think that fed me up. I'm like, you guys do realize that she has the information. Do you want it or not?
Yeah, yeah,
That's why I
exactly.
start getting
So
fed up of them specifics. I'm like, they're not necessarily helping their case. Yeah, I get it. They're bounty hunters. They wouldn't trust them, but it's like you got to give them something to work with.
yeah, otherwise you're just gonna get really nothing. And
I think this is the
look where
first
we're at now.
episode I felt like annoyed by the Bad Batch themselves, not Omega specifically.
Me, I'm fortunate. Unfortunately, I'm still upset about Omega in this case. But like, again, it was just because of the fact that like she said I could be a Jedi. I'm like, we don't need to get
To
into
be
that
fair,
theory yet.
she was a little. Who wouldn't be excited if that were like true?
But this is a clone we're talking about. I mean, don't get me wrong, the idea of a clone Jedi is still amazing, but I'm just like, theoretically, I don't know how that works. I'm like, I want to go into the logics of this rather than just like the empathy of it or like the excitement of it. I don't know. I just think logically. I think like tech, and this is not fun at all. It is, but it's not. Oh God. See, I still have not. I'm still not over. So yeah, and it's and it's just so funny that when Omega told like the batch like to like trust her, like she went on her own to see Adventurous, and then they're on the top just literally watching over her.
Well, yeah, of course they're not gonna trust Ventress.
Freaking Ricker when Ventress saw him, like, wait, how could she see me? He's like, oh, duh, no shit, you're looking at right at her.
Not to mention she has the Force. Like,
No. Just, uh, that was just so funny though. Um, but it's overall it still really was good. I guess I wasn't too I can't say I wasn't hyped about it. It really was good to see her and with her yellow lightsaber actually.
look,
I
I think it depends. If you love the book that should have been a Clone Wars few episodes, which I'm never gonna let Disney have it. Like I'll never give them a break about it. Uh, if you like those things, you may not like this because, well, how is she back and all that other jazz. However,
hmm.
I think as an episode on its own, I think it's fine. It's filler for sure. Because let's be real, nothing
Oh
was
yeah.
even answered at all.
No, just freaking more questions on whether or not she is a Jedi or freaking I don't know. But we just know is that she's just still a target yet again, but just for a different reason. Well, not a different. Well, no, because we really didn't have a true reason for the first time, but then now we do. So it's just more. That's the only thing that's more explained as if why she's a target. So
Yeah, I mean, overall, I think it was a fine filler episode, but they better bring something up with it. Like, we're already at the very end of, well, this
don't
season.
say that. No, we are. And then next week we got another two-parter episode, and that's the one that's gonna be more terrifying because of a. It's called Identity Crisis and Point of No Return. That's what I'm worried about the most next week.
Well, I
uh,
hope that at the very least this starts to push into the direction that something has to be up with Omega, because we gotta know something.
I swear, if we don't know anything or if they don't bring something out, then yes, I will admit that it will be very disappointing, and that will not be the end on how it will go down.